And we are live. Welcome, people, to the Sports Therapy Association podcast, episode 217. My name is Matt Phillips, creator of RunChatLive.com. And as always, this episode is being recorded live on the Sports Therapy Association YouTube channel and Facebook page. Right, let's get straight into it. Therapy Expo 2024 will be opening its doors once again at the Birmingham NEC on the 27th and 28th of November, which means it is less than 4 weeks away. So joining me in this episode to discuss what's in store for those of you who have bought tickets and why those of you who haven't bought tickets really should be buying tickets are my special guests, Therapy Expo content producer Molly Benson, Therapy Expo show manager Charlotte Speer, Therapy Expo Business Development Manager Vernon Smeed. I'm just surrounded by royalty tonight. I'm feeling so intimidated. I've already told them. But as always, if you have joined us live, then do feel free to ask questions in the comments. And if you're listening to the podcast, then thank you very much. Do please leave a rating and a review. And also, if you have questions over the next 4 weeks until the illustrious event takes place, then feel free. Probably the best place is put them in the YouTube comments for this recording, because YouTube stays live, it's active, we get notifications. So if you've got any questions you'd like us to forward to our guests or find out the answers for you, then probably the best thing to do is head over to the Sports Therapy Association YouTube channel and stick them in the comments there. But for now, allow me to bring up my guests for Therapy Expo 2024, 4 weeks to go. Right, there we are, looking like Charlie's Angels on the screen. Let's change that. That's a bit of a weird look. Right, so hi guys, thank you so much for joining us. And maybe for the benefit of the podcast listener, who I often forget about, sorry, podcast listener, maybe we could start off with a little introduction from each of you, just to say what your involvement with Therapy Expo is, so they can hear your voice, and then that'll make sense later on during the show. So maybe Molly Benson, would you like to start?
Sure. So I still feel like I'm fairly new to Therapy Expo, but actually it's been quite a while at this point. So I work on the conference programs. I invite our speakers along, and I sort of oversee the topics and the themes that we build our program around. So yeah, that's me.
That's way too short of Molly Benson. Just so modest. Yeah, and you can't play the I'm new to this thing anymore.
I know. I mean, you work
terribly hard. I know, because I'm one of the recipients of your many wonderfully organized emails. What's one of the most time conscious things that you're involved in? What takes up most of your time in running a show of this proportion?
I think making sure that there's something for everyone. There's so many people at our show, and there's so many topics to think about, and so many incredible people to hear from, is trying to make sure everyone fits in the program. There's a topic, there's a session for everyone, but also that we hear from as many people as possible. Is quite a challenge.
It's true, and it is. I mean, we're taking for granted now that everybody has listened to the last time we got together, which was episode 209, I think, a while back. And that's where we were telling people, right, watch out, guys, you've got 3 months to go. That ship has sailed. We've now only got a month to go. But what are we looking like? Give us a few impressive stats, Molly, so people can understand, listeners can understand how big this event has got now.
So we've got our 3 main theatres, we've got our 2 partner theatres, we've got our demo zone, the Venn Innovations Theatre and the Rock Tapes Theatre. That's a lot of theatres. We're way over 100 speakers at this point. I think we're coming up, I mean, even on my side, there's over 60 sessions. So that's, not including the whole programme. There's a lot to do and a lot to see. But it's all nicely organised into themes and times. So everyone can find a plan for the day.
How many delegates are you thinking are going to come through the door this year, man, in the NEC?
I want to say, Charlotte, you might have to help me with this one.
Well, I mean, year on year, you're looking at over 2,000 to 3,000 is what we get year on year.
Across 2 days.
Yeah, huge event.
And that's something which I'm sure we'll drop into later on as well, is it's not just to go and see the speakers. There is some amazing CPD, over 70 plus hours of amazing content. But I think one of the things we've talked about on the show a lot, and we talked about last time, was it's not just to go and see the speakers. There's huge benefit of just going mixing with your fellow colleagues.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's an awful lot of networking opportunities. I think I mean, I've definitely been encouraging the speakers that I've invited to sort of get out on the show floor, to speak to people, to stick around after their sessions, to interact with people and really follow up on these conversations that can only be had face to face. So I think there's that invaluable element there as well. It's definitely not one to miss.
There we go. That's going to be the sound bite. We'll edit that bit and put that in the edit later on. Fantastic. Charlotte, you weren't with us last time, so thank you very much for joining us. Like we've kind of already alluded to, no, absolute pleasure. So Therapy Expo is, I mean, it's safe to say, no one can really disagree, it's the UK's leading event for sports therapists, sports rehab specialists, massage therapists, physios, osteopaths, chiropractors, and all sorts of other MSK healthcare professionals. And you, Charlotte Speer, are the show manager, which sounds like a big job. Big job. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look, I get paid to talk on the phone for a living. You know, I chat all day long to speakers, delegates, exhibitors, our sponsors, partners, everyone involved in Therapy Expo is, who I have the pleasure of speaking to. I am essentially the person who interacts with not only the sales team, but the content team, the marketing team, the operations team. And I'm basically in charge of making sure that it's good, that it's worthwhile, that the offering is there for the delegates, that the program is the best program yet. And also that our exhibitors want to come back. That's my job, to make sure that everyone has the best time.
Fantastic. And Vernon sitting there patiently and quietly. It's time to bring you into it. So thanks for coming back again. You were on the show last time. You, like Molly, you haven't been involved for the full 11 episodes of Therapy Expo. I think we can call them episodes now. It is a massive, fantastic, the nation's favorite soap. You're a business development manager, which I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's a role that's kind of become needed because of changes in Therapy Expo over the years.
Changes within Therapy Expo, but also changes within the industry as well. So it's kind of, with my background and obviously being within physio supplies and within the sort of further within sport and going back into it within a bit more depth, it's kind of now with the industry, we've got the opportunity to create partnerships with new exhibitors and where the industry is going as a whole. So it's kind of good when we're dealing with sort of 13 or different types of multi-profession to have what's going to be the latest tech, what's the latest innovation at the event is something that I look to bring to the event. And that enables a bit of research, obviously, to take place, liaising with Charlotte, liaising with Molly on the types of content that's going to be coming into the event as well. And that's where it's really, really good to have that development side, because it keeps us at the forefront of what's going on within everything related to the therapy community. So that's where the sort of need is there.
Everyone's kind of got a favorite thing which they're looking out for. And I'm sure if anyone joining us live has got some speakers, for example, that you're really interested in seeing, then make sure you put them down in the comments so you get an idea. But for me personally, something I've followed, particularly in the last kind of couple, 2 or 3, I keep saying episodes, what should we call them? Events, conferences, is how the exhibitors have suddenly started kind of working together with the speakers more. And it's just been a change. Before, when it first started back in 2013 in Manchester, it was very much what therapy was at the time. There was an awful lot of exhibitors who were selling big products, making good profit. It was a big business. And a lot of therapists were going along there and thinking, right, this is my chance to make a great deal, and coming back after spending loads of money. And sadly, in a lot of cases, because we had the feedback, realizing that on Monday morning they spent an awful lot of money and they had something which they weren't going to use that much, or they didn't really need that much. It was kind of like a spur of the moment purchase. But I get the impression, I'm excited for you to expand on this, that the relationship now, the dynamic between the exhibitors and the speakers and the delegates is very much different now.
It's kind of, the way I look at it, it's almost a big community. What you've got is it's the perfect opportunity now for a networking event. And that's where different types of speakers, different types of clinicians, everyone can help each other, and what we should be doing now, and I think it will lead to some of the topics that go on in the MSK conference, is where you've got a lot of different types of clinicians working together, whether it's in their own clinics, whether it's in with the industry. This is where that health inequalities is now starting to kick in. And I think people are starting to understand the benefits of what other types of profession actually do, and by working together, they can actually make it a more of a community feel.
It's very good, and it links in so nicely with what we've been saying on the STA podcast for a long time, in that for true patient-centered care, all disciplines, regardless of the certificate on your wall, should be working together. And as far as massage therapists and sports therapists, a lot of the time there is a fear, a worry, a kind of this imposter syndrome that you're not part of the rest of them, and that can really hold you back. It can create unnecessary kind of conflict and anger and a loss of opportunities, but ultimately it doesn't really help the patient as well, who could need the massage therapist more than the physio or something. So I'm really kind of happy to be involved in the commons. And like I say, everyone's got different reasons, because it is now really providing CPD for the patient as opposed to...
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that's the priority with everyone now who comes to this event. I think it's all to do with getting the best results for those patient outcomes. And by working together, if that's what it, can achieve, then we should be doing it more and more. And that's where the networking side of Therapy Expo is great, because it puts people together that wouldn't half the time never normally meet.
Yeah.
And then you realize everyone's human, and everyone's kind of might have different angles and ways of approaching things, but they're all kind of on the same page.
Yeah, and that's not bad. That part of CPD is asking questions and finding an answer, and it might be that somebody does have a change of mind from talking to another profession. So, I kind of think that questions is never a bad thing.
Very healthy. There's 4 weeks to go. So does that mean that it's over? If someone hasn't got a ticket, should they just realize, oh, well, I better start playing for next year? If you listen to the podcast, you can... Molly nearly just dislocated her neck. I think there was kind of there's still hope, is there, for listeners who haven't got a ticket yet?
There is so much hope. And we, obviously, Halloween is on Thursday, and that is actually our deadline for the final ticket price drop. So the full price Therapy Expo ticket is £299, which actually, for what you get included, isn't, busting the bank. However, if you book before, I think it's 12 p.m. midnight on Thursday on the full moon, you can get your ticket for £189, which, I mean, if you consider everything that you get included, that covers you across both days. The content is different on each day. The workshops are different on each day. Obviously, there's over 150 exhibitors to see, products, services, anything you need for your clinic, your job, helping your clients and patients, whoever you're working with. We really have covered all aspects at Therapy Expo. So that's £189 after, from 1 minute past 12 on Friday morning, £299. So it's well worth 35% off.
And I just want to reiterate that, and I love being able to do this. I love being able to actually be on the same side as advertising and marketing, because normally I'm not. But in this case, it's me, Matt Phillips, host of the Sports Therapy Association podcast, normally the most cynical arse around. But no, it is. I mean, it's like, I don't want to sound like a marketer myself, but I mean, if you think of it as, even if you're doing £30 an hour, okay, even if it's 6 clients, which is, and if you are in the position, because the reason we talk about this is because every year myself and Gary and Jake, we get emails and Scott, and we look through them. Oh no, I wasn't able to, it's too late, and I didn't, I couldn't afford to take time out of clinic. And basically, without kind of rubbing it in, if you haven't sorted out a ticket yet, it is bad management, gang. It's bad management. And if that is a sign of what you're doing, then maybe your business is suffering from bad management, because it's classic budgeting. And I don't want to sort of get on a pedestal, because I'm the worst when it comes to budgeting, really, honestly. But one thing I do realize is, because I get so many emails about what CPD should I be doing and how can I improve my business? As I've been saying for the last 7 months, this is how to improve your business. There's no such thing as the perfect CPD for everyone. But when you've got such a large quantity of different choices and such a large opportunity to network, so many people talking about businesses and different aspects of healthcare, this is the best CPD, as long as you manage to plan your year and get there. So it's great to hear that there is still a chance to get there for less than £200. And also, just to reiterate, if you are with a professional association like the STA, you've got the discount. Whoever you're with, they hopefully should be able to, they should be involved and may well have their own personal discount as well. So
Yeah.
check with the associations you're with.
All of our partners are on our website at the bottom. So any of the associations that you're working with, assigned to, a member of, all of them will have a special discount code that you can benefit from. And just to add, I mean, the reality is Therapy Expo wouldn't still be running if it didn't work. If, you know, people weren't coming back every year, you know, that's really an indication for me why the show is worthwhile, because we get such a huge audience every single year. New faces come every year. And I think if you've never been before and you just come, if just for this year, just to see what you've been missing out on, I guarantee you'll be signing up for next year. Guarantee it, because I've seen it from the past couple of years that I've worked on the show. We've seen the retention on delegates, first time coming, that's it, they're coming every year.
That's something that's nice as well. You can offer that guarantee. Is that an official guarantee? I don't know, but you can offer that guarantee because you guys are all there. And you guys you're so immersed into it. The emails come from you, the point of contacts are you. On the day, there's you there seeing it all over. So I think that's something that shines through with the organization of Therapy Expo, is the people who are running it are actually there on the day and living it and seeing it and talking and getting feedback and walking around and all the things. So, so well done, Therapy Expo. Great team.
We do our best.
So how about, let me go down the sort of things I wanted to make sure you were asking. I want to mention Anna Maria was supposed to be here tonight. Anna Maria Mazzieri of the ST School and the Hands-On Hub. The Hands-On Hub started about 3 years ago. And I wanted to kind of hear from any of you, all of you, about how that came into play. Because the STA Theatre, just to make sure that people don't forget, the STA has been involved with Therapy Expo since the very beginning, since 2013 in Manchester. We've been involved in it in some capacity or another. And I spoke there at 14, 15 and 16, and Gary and the STA Theatre and everything. Well, the STA has been there giving presentations in one form or another. And I think for the last, I don't know how many years we've had the STA Therapy Update Theatre. And that's been great. And it is great. And I love it. And I recommend it. But it was really interesting to see, I think 2 years ago or 3 years ago, the Hands-On Hub evolve as well, because that was a sign of a changing market. So I think, Charlotte, you involved quite personally, weren't you, with Anne-Marie and that? In the Hands-On Hub?
So my first Therapy Expo was the first one out of COVID, 2021. Obviously, it wasn't the best in the world. First one out of COVID. It wasn't the busiest we've ever had, but we still ran, you know, a really good event. And that's where I first saw, you know, Lock's Eyes with Anna Maria at the event, this wonderful, wonderful woman who was just a wealth of knowledge, knew everyone, very warm, welcoming. So, you know, naturally I gravitated towards her and just kind of kept a contact with her. And the more I spoke with Anna Maria and the more feedback that she gave me regarding Therapy Expo, it just seemed to me that we weren't doing enough hands-on demonstrations. You know, it's all well and good sitting in the theatres learning, but there's so many different ways to learn as a physiotherapist, chiropractor, osteo. You know, you guys are very hands-on and you want to get stuck in. You want to feel how things work, touch and feel things. So that's essentially just through conversations. How can we get more hands-on? At Therapy Expo, Hands-On Hub was born, and then from there we snowballed ideas around. I think initially it was kind of more of a target towards the massage therapist, and then obviously, as Therapy Expo, everyone knows, it's not just for massage therapists, it's not just for sports therapists. Anna Maria has actually been able to integrate so many different what's the word I'm looking for, techniques, allowing so many different job titles to actually attend her Hands-On Hub and get hands-on with the workshops that she puts on. Does that answer your question?
Oh yeah, wonderfully, definitely. I'll be taking this clip and sending it to her. She'll be over the moon.
Yeah, love Anna Maria, amazing.
But it's interesting, you said it was the year after COVID, which incidentally you guys did really well, because a lot of people were very worried. It was not everyone, but a lot of people were naturally worried about going to a place with so many people, and you know, it's
Yeah.
kind of the first conference after everything being banned and stopped. But you guys managed it really well, and I think the fact that it had, like you said, it has continued was testimony to some good organization, you know, on the event after COVID. So but it is, I think, we've always said it on the show, COVID in a way, I mean, horrible, disastrous, tragic for so many people and so many businesses. But as far as healthcare goes, it's kind of sped up a really good conversation and really good collaboration. People started realizing that they needed each other for advice and support. And this is where the podcast came from. I think what we're seeing at Therapy Expo is, to a certain extent, because of COVID. It's because healthcare has become more patient-centered. It's because all those times we were thinking, oh, actually, we can help people by talking to them over a cam. We realized that the hands-on is important, but not maybe for the reasons we thought. The hands-on is providing a lot of the time the same care and empathy and nurture as we do with what's coming out of our mouth and when we're looking after people. So, and that's what's reflected now. And it's wonderful, like you said, there's lots of hands-on stuff going on, but you've got people walking around. You can tell the kind of the allied health professionals, because they normally walk around with their hands behind their back, just kind of like peering and stopping, and you know, and then walking on and nodding at each other. And it's great because it's an opportunity again for each of us to see each other's trade and realize they're just the same as me. They want the same thing. They're actually really looking after these people, and I love what they're doing. I wouldn't have thought that was the approach, and suddenly there's conversation. So yeah, once again, yeah, bravo to Anna Maria. The Hands-On Hub, I think, does kind of show how the conference has evolved.
I think it's great to have interaction and encourage interaction. I think that's always been with a lot of conferences that I've been to and shows in the past, you know, without having some sort of interaction, sometimes they can be a little bit boring. And sometimes a bit of excitement comes in when you get to actually have a go on something or try a new technique and be encouraged to take part in a session. You know, that's never really been done before until the Hands-On Hub really sort of took up shape.
Yeah, good show. Well done, Anna Maria. It's funny, we were talking off air. Okay, then. I should really give people an idea of what's going on in the STA Theatre. It's weird, isn't it? Because here we are, the STA podcast, and I feel almost guilty telling people what's going on in the STA Theatre, but that's what it's all about. And I think the STA Theatre, again, it's my bias, obviously, because I host it and everything, but I feel that, I mean, a lot of the initial people who we started off in the STA Theatre are now on the main stage, you know, and it's kind of like we've brought people to the conference and now they're main stage speakers and keynote speakers and stuff, which is beautiful as well. And that's one reason why this year, myself and Gary and Scott and Jake kind of like scratched our beards and chins, and we thought, what are we going to do? Because we don't want to compete with the stages. It's ridiculous now. Half the people we'd normally have are actually in the main stages. So one of the feedback we got was the people who come along, they do like, as Vern, you were saying, they like that interaction. They like being in a situation where they're on the same level field as the speaker, asking questions. Because, you know, a lot of the time, until you go to Therapy Expo, these people are a little bit like kind of gurus. They're sitting on a pedestal really high up. You think they're untouchable. And then the beautiful thing is you come to one of the open air theatre, not open air as in the rain, but outside of the theatres, and you realize that they're human and they're wonderful people, you know. So that's one of the things which we're doing in the STA Theatre. A lot of the sessions, most of them in fact, will be Q&A sessions, which is what you asked for and what you're getting, and where you will be able to come along and the speakers will be there, often coming straight from one of the main theatres earlier in the day to sit down in a more informal setting and just chew the fat with you and listen to you and reflect on what you ask them and give them what you need, sort of thing. So we're looking forward to that. I'm going to share on the screen and just flick through them fairly quickly to give you an idea of who we've got in the STA Theatre. I'm trying to do this and involve you three as well. Maybe you could have some reflection. Oh, if you notice some of the names I'm talking and you realize that they're going to be in the main theatre as well as something, and any feedback you've had of them, then feel free to bring them up or to mention them. But
I think you normally have a wealth of experience on there, don't you? I think that's the good thing is when people are asking questions, and if anyone who's just starting out in the industry, you know, it's the perfect opportunity for people to ask questions to those people, and they've got a wealth of knowledge and experience from what I've seen.
We do, and I shouldn't really say this out loud, but I have my curse in my life is saying what's in my mind and just telling you. But one of our goals at Therapy Expo is to cause bottlenecks and bring the whole circulation to a halt. Sorry, but that's our goal. And for example, in the photo that you can see here, I mean, this was Michelle Lyons, who sadly can't be here this year. She's had to pull out last minute because of circumstances. But I mean, this photo, you can't see it. This is the podcast, obviously. But one of the beautiful things about the STA Theatre, which we like and we think adds to the conference, is you fall upon interesting content by chance because you're walking around and then suddenly you'll hear someone talking and mentioning a few kind of like trigger words which you're interested in, and then you'll notice there's other people standing there and you're free. You can either stop and listen just on the periphery, or you can walk past if you want to, but suddenly you really are in control of whether you want to stay or go. And you can sometimes, most of the best things we learn in life are by accident and they're context based when you just happen to be in the right place at the right time. So we do love that about the STA Theatre. And again, this year, there will be plenty of opportunity for you to walk past and get swept away by what's coming up. So allow me just to run through a few things. And like I say, Molly and Charlotte and Vernon, I don't want to bore you to death with this because you've seen this program more times than me. No, actually, you probably haven't. But you've seen it as many times as me and are aware of it. But I'm just going to bring this up on the screen for people in the room.
It's exciting stuff. It
is exciting stuff, but
brilliant sessions.
I'm conscious that I'm more excited. You've got the rest of the conference and stuff to get excited by, but this is our baby, which we're interested in. So just to run you through nice and quickly, people, to give you an idea, as you are listening to the Sports Therapy Association podcast, so we'll give you an idea. There are plenty of other stuff going on in the conference, huge amounts of other stuff going on in the conference, but this is what we're offering this year to give you an idea. Obviously, it's 2 days, like I've said. We've got the Wednesday the 27th and Thursday the 28th. And we're trying to cater for that because we realize not everybody can go to both sessions, both days. Not everyone has the luxury of doing that. You should do if you can. But again, that takes some planning. So sometimes if some of the speakers have been keynote speakers in the theatre on one day, we're trying to have them in the STA Theatre on the other day. So you still get a chance to see the people you're really into. But on day one, we're starting off the morning with a focus, due to feedback again, on women's health. It's something which, fortunately, at last is becoming more talked about, lesser taboo topics. And also what's wonderful to see is male therapists as well are realizing, hell, half of my clients are women, so I should really know about the sort of things which they're going through, things which maybe they will gladly talk about if I ask them the right questions. So we will be starting off the day. It was going to be Michelle Lyons, but unfortunately, like I said, sadly she can't be with us. But she has recommended Christian Bird, who's the co-founder of Menopause Movement, who's going to be opening up the STA Theatre with Power the Pause, the pelvic floor, and more. Recommended by Michelle Lyons because, again, it's going to be a fantastic speaker, an opportunity for you guys to ask questions about everything menopause related. That will be followed by the Women in Sports Therapy panel, where we're going to have Sonia Fierro and Gemma Pouzas, and also Christian is going to join them as well. Again, a nice Q&A session for everyone. And last time we did this, it was lovely to see some male therapists there as well. It really showed a necessary evolving in healthcare. Just to fire some questions. They'll be delivering some stuff and raising some bombshells and stuff, but it'll be, again, a chance for you guys to ask questions and say, in clinic, I have this problem or this, or what will you do here? There's going to be sponsored sessions as well, as always, and there's going to be a lot of business development and clinic owner, for example, from Thrive. Andrew McCauley is one of my top speakers who I met through Therapy Expo for myself and networking, is going to be doing exercise dosage in clinical practice. That's going to be at 11:40. And then later on, we move through to kind of lunchtime, after lunchtime, and we're going to progress to, let me just bring this up on my screen here. 12:20, Sonia Fierro, fresh from the WIST panel debate, is going to be talking about empowering pregnant and postpartum athletes. Sonia Fierro, for those of you who don't know, from Recover Stronger, fantastic athlete herself, Italian deadlift record, and all sorts of working with all sorts of GB teams, a wealth of information, and also one of the co-hosts of the WIST podcast, Women in Sports Therapy podcast. That's going to be a fantastic 25 minutes with Sonia. We have got another sponsor session, HMDG, talking about the future of marketing for clinics. James Earls, another favourite from the STA Theatre, is going to be talking about anatomy for soft tissue therapists at 1:45. What should I be learning? I mean, if you haven't heard James Earlston, he's been on the show about 3 or 4 times. Such a wealth of information. It's also going to be in the Hands and Hub, I'm sure. Amazing 25 minutes for you. Alistair Beverley, who was on the show last week, the patient no one told you how to treat. Again, I could go on for ages. How am I going to speed this up? I mean, this is all about how we can learn through working with people with disabilities. Because as we talked last week, we all think we're great communicators. What do you do? How powerful is your communication when the person you expect to talk to is not talking the same language as you, is not able maybe to communicate? So it's going to be a fantastic 25 minutes that I rarely say everyone should go to this, but I really think everybody should go to this. It'll be a real eye-opener. And again, just a wonderful demonstration of how healthcare is evolving by taking into consideration people who normally would shy away from or kind of smile at and refer on. So yeah, come along to that. Later in the afternoon, the amazing John Scriven is coming over once again, talking about integrating natural movement into clinical rehab. There'll be a Q&A with John Scriven, who's just a wealth of information as well, such a forward-thinking new practitioner. I say he's been around for a long time, but just the stuff he delivers is so contemporary and relevant to anybody who's working with people in pain. And then Tim Stevenson, who was nearly on the show a while ago, but it didn't record. Thank you, Sky Broadband. Goodbye. But will be, thanks to Vodafone, coming on the last week or before Therapy Expo. He's going to be back. I persuaded him, and absolute legend when it comes to shoulder injury. So, I mean, I can't believe now. I've just looked at day 1. I'm not even going to go through day 2 because day 1 has just blown me away. It's just such a lineup, and that is just one relatively small theatre amongst a whole continent of different CPD for you to choose from. I need someone else to talk now because I'm just going to think about it.
It's a fantastic program. I'm really, really excited for it. And like you said before, there's some incredible speakers in there that will be coming from our main theatres. So it's the perfect opportunity for them to go into more depth, but also for them to get, direct, instantaneous feedback from people. What are people on the ground actually struggling with? What do they want to know more about? That sort of thing. So it's an incredible relationship that works both ways. And it's really nice to see from our perspective as, the people putting the show together to see these relationships being nurtured and to see the community continuing to work together. It's really fantastic.
That's good. I'm glad to see it. And it is the fact that we've managed to evolve and now we're doing more of a Q&A format. That's only because the speakers in the periphery, we love them as well. Once upon a time, there would be 50% of the speakers back in the early days. We can talk about the early days. I don't think any of you are involved now, but 50% of the speakers, we were like, oh God, here we go again, snake oil. It's just not, they're massive names and they're selling this and selling that, but they were doing the same speech in 1980. It's just not evolved. Yeah. It's not patient-centered. And it's easy to criticize at the time, but the people who were putting on the show then were doing what they thought was necessary. And, it's bums and seats sort of stuff. But when you're at a conference now where I'm thinking, I would gladly leave my post at the STA Theatre and go and watch anybody in the other theatre, and I know I'd pick up so much information. It just shows it's a great conference. It's just so much quality there. So,
can I just jump in and
I'd love you to.
Just to highlight that this year, for the first time ever at Therapy Expo, we have a headline speaker, Mitchell Hooper, who is 2023 World's Strongest Man, which is cool. I'm a strongman fan. That is very cool for me. However, that is not the reason that we have Mitchell Hooper come in to Therapy Expo. So I just really want to kind of showcase why this is such an amazing opportunity and such a big deal for us at Therapy Expo and everyone involved, because Mitchell Hooper, yes, he's a strongman, but he kind of came into the scene. So in 2022, actually, was when he first kind of entered the elite strongman competitions. He won World's Strongest Man in 2023 and has since absolutely dominated the podiums. I think he's won every event since he won World's Strongest Man, apart from World's Strongest Man this year, and he had a hand injury. But aside from all of that, he's got a background in powerlifting. He was a pro golfer, a marathon runner, He's done CrossFit, loads of CrossFit stuff. He's kind of a well-rounded athlete. He's a physiotherapist by trade. He runs his own physiotherapy clinic in Canada. He's got a master's in exercise physiology. He trains with a more scientific approach, and he's got a real understanding around biomechanics and strength and conditioning, which obviously has assisted him in how he recovers so quickly. In my opinion, I think he's the best strength athlete of our generation. I think he's absolutely elite. And we've got him at Therapy Expo, not only doing a keynote session around, his journey being a strong man, but he's also hosting a workshop on each day within one of our breakout rooms, where he's actually getting hands-on, giving a demonstration on how to lift, deadlift, squat, pull, push safely. He's going to be talking loads about recovery, about how to train with injury, and essentially offering biomechanics and education that he can offer people within their own clinic. So I just wanted to highlight that because it's so exciting. And we've got 10 tickets left for his intimate session, which is what are we charging for Mitch Hooper session? I think it's £199 if you'd like to take a ticket and train intimately with Mitchell Hooper at his workshop. But like I said, his attention to recovery and conditioning and the educational content that he has planned, not only are you going to get one-to-one with Mitchell Hooper and learn how to lift, but he's also going to be offering lots of educational content at Therapy Expo. So what I'm trying to say, long story short, he's not just a world's strongest man comes Therapy Expo gimmick. He's really bringing a wealth of knowledge and something different that we've never had before at the show. So yeah, really, really exciting opportunity that I cannot wait for. Cannot wait.
Very exciting. Amazing guest here. Like you say, it would be often with a lot of shows, it'd be enough just him because of his accolade of successes as a strongman. But the fact that he's working physio and his knowledge and his masters and everything, yeah, amazing opportunity to hear from somebody who performs and teaches how to perform. So
I think with the sessions as well, I think people sometimes have that in their mind of it's going to be, you've got to be big, lots of muscles to go to this session. It's totally not that. It's actually a session which is going to appeal to lots of different types of practitioners for lots of different reasons. It's not every day that you get someone that comes in with an injury, and here we've got somebody that's not only used to dealing with injuries, but he's also the man that's recovered quicker from most of injuries that he has got, and his recovery rate is actually second to none. So it's kind of actually you want to be taking that wealth of knowledge and kind of really take that back into whether you're a PT or whether you're a S&C coach. There's so much information you can pick up from someone with that kind of knowledge. That's why it's worth attending one of those sessions.
Without doubt. And I guess, I don't know, are you setting yourself up for a regular kind of guest appearance now? Are you already kind of racking your brains thinking, oh my God, who do we get next year?
I think so. I mean, based on the feedback and the response of having Mitchell Hooper, number one, just having Mitchell Hooper at the show, because he will be doing, like I said, his keynote session in Theatre C on day 2. He's going to be doing a meet and greet, and he will be on the show floor. But now, obviously, the response that we've had to his workshop sessions, which is limited to only 25 people per day. So one session on day 1 and then a session on day 2. We've got 10 tickets left for his session. So, merely just the response and feedback we've had around that, of course, it'd be a no-brainer, see who we've got next year. Pop your ideas in the comments if there's anyone you want. We'll see.
Definitely. And like we say, if you listen to the podcast, then the comments are also on YouTube. So you've got you've got forever. Just go to YouTube and pop down if it's someone particularly you'd like to see. I mean, I've still got Frank Bruno's number. I'm not sure how relevant he is these days, but he's so entertaining there. I have some stories of Frank Bruno. But anyway, pop them in the comments at YouTube because this team does actually listen. Believe it or not, they do definitely listen.
We do. It's an incredibly invaluable aspect to the content production. And I mean, we were talking about it before, but the advisory board, the help and support that they give us, and it's such a mix of varied perspectives that I think the way that they've all come together with different ideas, we have regular meetings. It's fantastic to see it then all come together in one program. So yeah, I'm really pleased with it.
Excellent. Right, listener, I'm going to, if I can, quickly go through day 2 in the STA Therapy Update Theatre. Let's bring this onto the screen for those of you who like the image. I think that's day 2. Yes, okay. So day 2, so we're talking now the Thursday, which is the 28th of November. Still 4 weeks away, people. If you are interested in getting a ticket, then remember you've got the that sounded so much like a commercial, didn't it? Oh God, I have to edit that out. No, but there is a deal before Halloween midnight to knock 35% off. So make sure you're following Therapy Expo somewhere on social media or the STA, and you'll get details of that. Although if you are with the STA, then obviously there's the STA discount, and if you're not sure about that, then just go to the members page or send an email. I mean, to tell you the truth, and I've said this before, if you're looking for a way to get to Therapy Expo and you're really strapped, then join the STA. I mean, that's not just a marketing thing. It's just send an email to Gary at the STA.co.uk or Matt at the STA.co.uk, and you'll be amazed. But anyway, so day 2, let's have a little look. So we start off with me rambling for 5 minutes, and then we move into, we've got another such an important area. People who listen to podcasts will know that one of the things that we try and do is just open your eyes to the multitude of people you can help who you don't even realize you can help because you think it's out of your scope. But a lot of people who come to you will come with symptoms that we often refer to as masqueraders because they've got a sore lower back, they're aching, they're tired, they're not sleeping well, and they think it's just a pull muscle, when really if you ask the right questions, then you could help with something that hasn't been diagnosed or has been misdiagnosed for years, for decades sometimes. So hypermobility is something that we've talked about on the show quite a lot, rightfully so, because it is something that goes undiagnosed. We had some wonderful speakers on the podcast. Just go to YouTube or go to the STA.co.uk and just do a search there for hypermobility, and you will see it's the perfect example of where you ask the right question, like, have you got any party tricks? Are you famous for being able to do the splits? People laugh at you having very stretchy skin, and people go, yeah, I've got amazingly stretchy skin, and I could do this trick. Look, they put their leg behind their neck, and actually, combined with other things, this could, if you ask the right questions and you know what the significance of that is, that could uncover something like hypermobility, to the extent that also explains why they are suffering from a host of different systemic diseases, including stomach problems and all sorts of issues that could develop and get worse if it's not diagnosed now when they're a teenager, as opposed to waiting until they're 30 and having all sorts of problems later on down the line. So I'm absolutely thrilled to have another person who's a keynote speaker, Steph Dath, who's going to be with us at 9:35 on day 2, presenting Recognizing and Understanding Hypermobility, which is going to be, again, a Q&A session, which will follow on nicely from her main stage presentation. That's going to be at 9:35. That's going to be followed by another guest from the show, Dr. Claire Boucher. Actually, I think it's Boucher. I say Boucher because it's a bit like bouquet, isn't it? But I think it's Claire Boucher. I have to check with that, Claire. I've forgotten. I'm sure she said, no, it's Boucher. How do you feel about working with fascia? Again, I love this because I remember 9 years ago when I was at Therapy Expo, probably in Manchester or the first one in Birmingham, I was slagging off people who worked with fascia, and I was getting on my pedestal and going, don't you know about the Chowdhury kind of research, which shows that it takes 790 newtons just to change fascia by 1%. And it was relevant at the time because the fasciaists were going over the top and there was just too much going on about what we can do with fascia and all this. But now it's coming around, and now we realize that there's probably ways which we can affect fascia, and we've always known it's important, but we've always thought, but you can't really change whether you're dealing with fascia or whether you're dealing with muscle or what. But now, thanks to researchers like Dr. Claire Boucher /Boucher, it is again raising, and it's lovely for old people like myself, because it shows me how when I was younger and criticizing and shouting out, and as some people still do on Twitter, make a good living out of it, you've got to hold back. things come round again, things change, things evolve. So I'm very excited for people to come along and get some updated information about working with fascia. Again, in a Q&A session, which will be great at 10:15 on day 2. Andy Hosgood is one of my, again, a guest on the show a couple of times. Such a wealth of information in terms of mentorship. He's going to be doing client retention, the superpower for business growth. Wonderful Q&A session. Such valuable CPD, which people, again, traditionally miss out on. They're trying to look for new ways to use their hands, when really you just need some solid foundational information on how to run a business. So Andy Hosgood is my go-to person for that. So he's going to be with us at 11:40. Concussions is another area which is evolving, and the information changes so much. And we've got a fantastic previous guest on the show, Nicola Hunt, who's going to be coming and talking about concussion causes, risks and treatments, myth busting at 12:20. Again, if you work particularly on pitch side and with people who can or have suffered from concussion, then it's going to be valuable for you. I loved Nicola's comment that the word itself, like, oh yeah, he's got concussion, he needs to lie down for a bit, doesn't he? Yeah, he'll be all right, just shake it off. Or the coach saying, oh, it's just a bit of concussion. If you change the word concussion for what it actually is, which is brain damage, then your kind of approach would different. Oh yeah, he's got brain damage, just sleep it off, you'll be all right. But as Nicola will explain, concussion does result from damage to the brain. It may only be temporary, but it is an actual injury to the brain. And once you realize that, you realize the severity of it, the importance of it, and how you really need to know how to deal with it properly and recognize it. So I did enjoy that with Nicola, and it's great to be a see her in person. We have also got Steve Miller, another guest. Is your client ready to return to sport? Wealth of information with sports rehab. Really looking forward to seeing Steve again at 2:30. We've got Martin Christensen, who's coming all the way from Norway. That's how Therapy Expo rolls these days. He's coming from Norway to be at Therapy Expo to talk about what values truly make us professional therapists. That's going to be at 3:10 in the afternoon on day 2. Again, just an amazing human being who's actually leaving physio now to go and work with struggling teenagers with learning disabilities and difficulties and things, because his passion is helping people. And he grew a bit despondent with physiotherapy, but now he's still working with healthcare in terms of how we should be working with people as opposed to just looking at injuries. And then finishing off the day on day 2 in the STA Update Theatre will be Tom Astley, who I think I first met at the first Therapy Expo I went to. I think it was probably in Manchester. It's lovely to have him back 10 years later to do ankle rehab in sport. That'll be a Q&A session again following Tom's main theatre presentations, and a wonderful way to end the afternoon on day 2, ladies and gentlemen. Right, let's get rid of that. There you go. Right. Yeah, amazing. But like I say, there's so much for people to choose from. Maybe Molly and Charlotte and Vern. Is there anybody in particular? You mentioned Big Mitch Hooper, who apparently I've got to have a fight with at some point. I don't know how that's going to work out, but we'll talk about that later. But anybody in particular who you think is going to wow people this year, or who you'd like to highlight? I mean, everyone's brilliant.
I think there's quite a few, but I mean, one of the people actually you've just mentioned there about concussion management. We've got Dr. Cameron Marshall coming from Complete Concussions Management. So again, I mean, we're going to totally cover the area of concussion this year, and mainly because we've also got a lot of sports delegates coming to the event. So I think that's going to be a real eye opener for a lot of people.
Right. It's such an example of a topic that has evolved and new information needs to get out there.
Yeah,
and,
very much so.
And the great thing about Therapy Expo is I've seen it over the last 2 or 3 years since COVID again, because therapists talk now, which makes evidence-informed therapy much easier because people are sharing and people aren't quite so scared of talking and changing and evolving. They realise that not everything you were taught is the same as it was 5 years ago. So people are much more receptive now to learning new things as opposed just to backing up what they once learned. So great stuff. Charlotte and Molly, have you got anybody in particular who you'd like to highlight or come to mind?
I'm really excited for, I think we've got Gary Rhodes coming along doing a session on basically bone health and just the energy he brings. I mean, I've had a number of Teams calls with him now, and I'm incredibly excited to see that energy in a theatre during a session. So yeah, I'm really, really excited for that session. I think it's going to be fantastic. Definitely one to look out for.
Amazing. And Charlotte, any name come? You must have your head so full of names.
I mean, where do I start? All I want to do really is Obviously, aside from the enclosed theatres, amazing names. If you look at the programme, that's everything's on our website. Look at who's speaking. But I do also want to highlight the demo zone, which is actually where our exhibitors offer hands-on product demonstrations, sessions. Again, everyone who's participating in the open air, not rain, open air demo zone is all on the website. And also on top of that, the MSK Theatre. We've got an amazing programme which is run by or supported by key associations. We're working with Versus Arthritis, we've got ARMA, and we've got the UK partnership, MSK Partnership Group, working with us for this year, which I'm sure Molly can delve into. So yeah, I'm not going to highlight a name, but I just wanted to highlight some other theatres where you can find amazing speakers.
No, it's fantastic. So all Therapy Expo ticket holders also have access to the MSK Keynote Theatre, where their topics for this year are, I think they've called it Bridging the Gap. So a massive focus on the collaboration between different professionals across the sector and how that contributes to reducing health inequalities. So some really, really interesting content. We want to get everyone as involved as possible. And like Matt was saying earlier, it's not about which profession you're from or which sort of angle of the therapy world. It's about coming together and sharing that practice for the patient outcomes. You know, ultimately, that's the most important thing. So yeah, MSK, great topics in there.
That's so amazing that I'm hearing those words coming from a Therapy Expo content producer. It's just like music to my ears. It's just like, and our work is actually getting done. It's amazing. It's so cool to hear. And that's a really good point you raised with the MSK conference. For the first time this year, there is a clear passageway. I mean, traditionally, it's kind of been a little bit separate. But I think, again, that symbolizes how now we're all kind of coming together and realizing we need to work together for the benefit of the patient.
Yeah, no, exactly. They've got, I mean, what they've got, like pelvic health, digital health, rehab, physical inactivity, and the underlying theme for the whole thing is bridging the gap. So, you know, really bringing together all those silos, those pockets of professionals that wouldn't necessarily talk to each other on a day-to-day. They're all going to be at the same show. So let's really make that a thing.
Really cool.
You know,
I would recommend sports therapists, massage therapists to wander in there. There will be a force around it which you'll have to battle with, and you'll get a bit of a babysit in your throat, and you won't feel right. But I would walk in there because it'll help your career. It'll be really nice for you to see how things have changed a little bit. I know I'll be going in there because generally the speakers' sandwiches are nicer for some reason in the MSK conference than they are outside. I don't know whether that's going to change as well. I mean, small steps, obviously. That's maybe next year. But yeah, I think it'd be really cool because guess what? Again, our listeners, massage therapists, sports massage therapists, sports rehabilitators, they do it to us. The amount of feedback we get where physios and chiropractors and osteopaths and important high up people in allied professional healthcare have been walking around and they've stopped outside the hands-on hub, or they've stopped outside the STA Theatre and they've watched intently, and then they've fed back to people who we talk to, obviously, going, that was amazing, that was so good, we never realized that this is what they were talking about and how advanced they are and how they're actually on the same page. So they come to us. So now this year, I want you guys to go and return the favor by going to see them and realize that they're not all, I mean, a couple of them are, but they're not all nasty ogres and dinosaurs and people who are going to kind of snap your head off and laugh at you. They're actually really cool people, and it will help your career because it will help you forge relationships with other people in the chain of healthcare, and it'll help your business and all sorts of things and your confidence. So take advantage of that, people, is what I'm trying to say. Right then. Well, I feel quite empowered now. I'm really excited for everyone who's going along. Wonderful. Vern, in terms of, we haven't mentioned probably enough about exhibitors, but is there anybody who you're excited, who you know is?
There's loads. I mean, like you were saying there about, you've got a speaker coming from Norway. We've got some of our exhibitors coming from Norway and Finland. So I think we've got representation from pretty much every part of the globe. Yeah. So I kind of think this year is going to be really exciting, and we've got a lot of new exhibitors as well.
Yeah.
So I think there's probably around sort of 50, 55 new exhibitors, I would have thought, this year.
So exciting.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. I mean, what I would say to people is check the website. Check the website, check the conference program, have a little think before you even attend. What do you want to see and why? You know, I think it's always worth just checking that.
Definitely. And it is a great website. I mean, and this year, I think, I don't know who looks after it, but you can see it becomes more functional. Now you can filter so much better according to if you want to see what's in the STA Theatre, you want to see what's in the Hands-On Hub. It's so much more practical. Every year it kind of gets better and better. So once again, we're just a great team. Right, people.
Oh, and we've got an app. An app as well.
And the app, of course. Oh, you just reminded me. Oh.
Game changer. Game changer.
Yeah. I did promise. There's a question which I'm just going to put on the podcast because then I've done my job. But there was a question that came in from somebody who sadly can't join us tonight. They just wants to highlight, and I don't think any of you will be able to deal with it, but you can pass it on because I know you will pass it on. Apparently, this is what has been reported to me. It doesn't, when you click on it, it doesn't download the speaker details. So you've got no idea what you filled your calendar with.
Oh.
Now, it might just be a one-off for them. They might have to refresh, but I just thought I'd say it because this is how it works, isn't it? I tell you stuff which someone tells me, and then... So that was...
We'll jump straight on that.
They'll jump straight on that. Believe me, I've just ruined their evening because there'll be a meeting now. Limousines will be sent out and people will be picked up and taken there.
Someone's going in the trophy.
Someone is losing their job.
Yeah.
Anyway, right. Wonderful. Right. So like I said before, people, definitely, if you're going, then make sure you're following Therapy Expo. All the links obviously on the website, but you can follow them on Instagram, where it's the Therapy_Expo, on Twitter, one word Therapy Expo, Facebook, obviously, Therapy Expo. But yeah, keep in contact because another thing we do is a lot of sharing and talking and build up. It is fun. Everyone's really emotive about it. So, and even on the day now and again, it's worth having a look on social media, what people are saying, because you'll find suddenly a speak on the other side that you're interested in. Someone will be raving about it. So, and also follow UK_STA, follow the ST School for Hands-On Hub information, and just become part of the family. Don't be by yourself. Don't wait until when you arrive to meet people and know what's going on. Come and join us now on the journey in the 4 weeks lead up to it. And if you haven't got a ticket yet, hopefully this wonderful episode with my wonderful illustrious guests will inspire you to sort it out. Get the pre-Halloween discount if you can, or otherwise talk to, if you're part of a membership or something association, then you may be able to get a discount that way as well.
May I offer one tip, word of advice?
Oh, good.
If you're coming in a group, or, you know, if there's two of you, or if you just want to discuss, if you've got a ticket and you want to upgrade to the McHooper ticket, call Casey or James from our delegate sales team. You know, if they've got an option to give you a discount, a group booking discount, if they can do anything for you on the price, they will. You know, obviously go through the website. If you've got a discount code, brilliant. But calling our team might just give you something a little extra.
God,
Casey or James.
Casey James. And that number is just the general number which is available on the website, is it?
I can read out the number if that helps.
Yeah.
I'll read it out and I'll also type it in the comments as well.
Okay, amazing. Service. So
Casey's number is 0203 978 1670. That will get you through to Casey, an amazing guy, friendly as hell, and he will help you out. He can do the whole registration process for you. If Casey's busy, he'll put you through to James.
There you go. That's how they roll, people. Just trying to save you money, left, right, and centre. Right, wonderful. Thank you so much to everyone who did join us live. Cecily Hislop says, I'm very, very late. It's Anna Maria's fault. I can believe that, Cecily. I know you're not being ironic or sarcastic at all. It's just true, isn't it? Yep. But I'm glad you managed to join us. And obviously, you'll be able to watch the recording. If you're listening to the podcast, then do please just once again, leave a rating, leave a review. It just helps the free information which we're putting out there arrive to more people's doorsteps, because if you leave a rating or review, particularly on Apple Podcasts, then it appears higher in Google when people do a search on conference or expo. If you leave a review, then Therapy Expo will appear near the top, and that's how we get the great information out there from our guests. So please do that. And if you're interested in coming along to ask questions to our guests directly, then like I say, we go out live on Tuesdays. Next week is bonfire night. We might be doing a morning episode, because in the evening everyone's obviously going to be out and waiting until midnight in order to book their Therapy Expo ticket. So we thought we might do a morning session, but as always, just follow us UK_STA and you'll find out who the guest is and what time it's going to be on. I quite like the idea of a morning. It's kind of inclusion. Not everyone can do an evening session, so we might start doing now and again a morning one, just because that might allow more people to listen. So there we go. Thank you to Charlotte Speer and Molly Benson and Vernon Smeed for joining us on behalf of Therapy Expo. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Had the best time.
Absolute pleasure. You really do the company proud, and it's really great just to see your enthusiasm and how you are bending over backwards just to help not just the therapist but also the patient as well. So really important part of healthcare you guys are forming. So thank you so much. Right, that's it. Take care of each other, and until we meet again, look after each other. Bye-bye.